Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I'm back with Minakshi today. So, Minakshi is the founder of the Finance Box. So, thank you, Minakshi, for being here. It's my pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, it's. I'm also excited to have you, and it's my pleasure again. So, before beginning, Minakshi, it would be great if you could, speak about yourself and about your work and what you do. That would be great.
Okay, so my name is Minakshi Aggarwal Todi. I'm a former investment banker, so I used to work with JP Morgan in London. Currently, I'm also a university finance professor, so I teach finance to the young students of ISME School of Management and Entrepreneurship. And I'm also the founder of the Finance Box. Now, what is the Finance Box? It's an education startup working especially to financially empower men, women, children, everybody, anybody through education. And we teach simple finance concepts and we try and teach them in the way that they're very easy to use and very applicable. Now, one may say, hey, why do I need to learn how to, calculate stuff? Why do I need to know finance? What's the point? But my question to everybody is that why do you get educated or why do you work so hard? You work so hard to make money. And why do you want money? To buy nice things, to spend, to go on holidays. So if you don't know how to manage your money, it doesn't matter what profession you're in. You're not going to have that rosy retirement unless you learn how to manage your finances, which is why we're here to teach you that.
Okay, great. So, yeah, how did this come into existence? How did you even have the idea of starting it? Like, what was the starting phases, and what came to your mind? Then you thought to start that.
I think I was an entrepreneur by chance. So I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. And like I said, I used to work in investment banking at JP Morgan London. So I had a really great job. It was really fancy. I got paid very well. And I always thought that having a job is a great thing because you work a set number of hours and no matter how the company is doing, you still get paid.
Wait,
So
yeah.
I said, why would anyone want to be an entrepreneur? It sounds like so much work. And I ended up quitting my job at JP Morgan and I ended up traveling the world. So I traveled literally everywhere. Like I went to Hawaii, Turkey, Croatia, and traveling across the world, traveling to Asia, traveling even around India a little bit. I spoke to a lot of people. I met a lot of people. And naturally, I'm someone who loves asking questions. I love meeting new people. So naturally, I ended up speaking to a lot of people. And what I realized is that a lot of people are in debt. People don't know the consequences of borrowing so much at such a young age. There were so many backpackers and travelers out there who had taken loans to travel around. And while the spirit of travel is great, I mean, the practicality of it was a little scary. And I realized that, okay, people don't know a lot about their money. And again, chance had it that when I moved to India, I got an offer to work with a school. So I started working at ISME. And there also, I encountered a lot of young people. I taught the topic of finance, right from 18-year-olds to 25, 26-year-olds, because I taught in the PG program as well. And I began to realize that people don't know how to manage basic finances. Like, how does your bank account work? Or something as simple as your personal balance sheet, right? I should know where I stand. Like, what is my income? What is my expense? What are the assets I own? What are the money I owe? Like, how does all of that come together? Or something simple as, okay, I'm a salary earner, I get some money, how do I invest it? People didn't know that. People just left it in the bank thinking it's going to be all fine. But hey, it's not going to fight inflation, it's not going to grow. You're not going to be going, on that world tour you wanted to. So I decided that something needs to happen. And I didn't intend for it to happen again. I just started, an online page. I said, okay, I'm the finance box and I'm going to help you. And I had a lot of people come to me. And I think that just became a startup. The idea was to help people, the idea was to financially empower people. And I went about it I was luckily from a teaching background, and having worked in a college, I knew, how to put together a module, how to put together material, how to teach. And I think I just started teaching. And with the response I got, I realized, yes, people need to know this. And A lot of people are relying on their CAs, on third parties, on wealth advisors, which is not wrong. Definitely, please do rely on them. But at the same time, know what they're telling you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he's showing you a statement, you should be able to make sense of that statement rather than just believing what he says, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we really come in. It's more to educate and empower you so you know what's happening. During COVID, we saw so many people relying on one family member, right? Usually it's, the husband who works and he pays all the bills. So the wife, depends on him that, okay, he's going to pay the electricity bill, he's going to pay the broadband bill, he knows all the insurance stuff. And during COVID, a lot of times it was the main member who knew everything that was getting hospitalized or that was, unable to perform. And at that point, it became really scary for the other people of the house who didn't know much. So I
Mm.
think COVID has also kind of pushed my venture to a faster pace, because had we not had this, I guess people would not have realized how much they need to know and how much they don't know.
Mm.
So I guess that's how I came about.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's really interesting to hear, Minakshi. It's wonderful. And how was the status? Was it easy for you to find people who wanted help or wanted to learn, or how was the initial days of the company, and what were the problems you faced while organizing things and making things up?
I think the biggest problem I faced was that finance as a topic, it's very scary. Like, if you're not from a finance background, just saying, oh my God, accounting, numbers, do I really need to know this? I think a lot of our audience were really scared initially, because they said, hey, we don't know anything. We come from a completely non finance background. And I said, you know what? You are a better audience for me than someone who even knows something. Because a lot of times, the people who know something don't know the right thing.
Yeah.
So when you don't know anything, it's so much better for me. So I think my initial struggle was convincing people that finance is not that scary. It's actually pretty easy if you learn it in an organized way. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't use too many fancy terms. You know, just understand the essence of what's happening, and I think you should be fine. So that was one of our first and major challenges. I think the second challenge was to get people to know about us. Me, I come from a pure finance background. I've done, my inter CA, I've done a master's in finance, I've done extensively tax, I've done those kind of things. So when I had to do marketing for my venture, I knew that this is not my strong suit.
Mm.
So that's when I struggled a little bit in the beginning as well, because I didn't know how to go about it. Whereas when you're a teacher, you only need to know your subject area. But when you're an entrepreneur, you need some kind of information about everything, whether it's marketing, HR, finance. You kind of need to know all of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I actually begun to appreciate, that an entrepreneur does know quite a bit.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. So true. Yeah. And what did you learn from the creating your company and creating things, helping people in their finances? Like, what did you learn from those part of creating things for people?
Like I mentioned earlier, I never wanted to become an entrepreneur. So it was quite a learning journey for me as well.
Uh-huh.
And what I would say I learned was that passion is really key, right? As an entrepreneur, you're spending hours thinking about this.
Yeah.
It's something that should bring you joy. And when you achieve it, the feeling of happiness is crazy. So following your passion is one of the most important things I learned. A few others, which again I can't discount because they are all a part of the process, is doing research. No one enjoys research. They like to just jump into the crux of it and start. A lot of people don't take a step back and say, okay, let's research, let's sit in a room and think about it and research, study all the elements. What are these elements that are going to go into the business? What are the operations of the business? What are the finances of the business going to be? a lot of people just jump straight into strategy because that's sexier. What is the strategy, what is the innovation? But no one thinks like, okay, what is the finances, or what is the management or the operations going to be like? So research was something that was unavoidable, and I learned that it was a really, really important part of my business. I think another important thing I learned was networking.
Mm.
A lot of people said, hey, you have this startup idea, why are you sharing it? Or aren't you scared someone's going to copy you? Because my idea is very simple: teach people finance, and my material is very simple because it's to teach you basic finance. So a lot of people said, oh, why are you telling people, or people are going to copy you? I said that doesn't matter. Networking is so important, because the more people I told my idea to, the more confidence I got that yes, I'm on the right track. Because a lot of people would say, oh, but have you thought about this? Or, how are you going to do this? And I said, oh yeah, that's a great point. And I would then incorporate what I
Mm.
had spoken into my plans. So networking, speaking to people, telling people your idea as much as possible was so important. And I ended up getting a lot of customers as well, right? Because a lot of the people I spoke to, they said, hey, we don't know anything about finance, maybe we should come to you and learn. So indirectly that helped spread the word about my business as well. So that was really, really important. And I think the last thing was that don't be scared. I mean, things
Mhm.
do go wrong, and
Yeah.
sometimes, like, I had this massive plan that during the Valley vacations we launch our finance for teens in a big way, because the students will have holiday. And we realized that we didn't get as much traction as we would have liked. And looking back, I was a little disappointed, and I was like, oh, is it really going to work? But now I realize that, hey, students had so much screen time all those months that during the Valley break no one wanted to study. So we were more suited to actually run during term time. So I guess till you don't take the leap, you can always be sitting there and wondering, should I not? Or you could be scared. So don't be scared. Take
Yeah.
the leap.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And what would be, like what would be your advice you would like to give to somebody regarding finance? What would you tell to anybody asking, "Ki Meenakshi, how do I take care of my finance? How do I save money, and how should I do things in like that?"
I would say come to the finance box. We'll teach you.
Okay.
But
Okay.
apart from that, I guess one of the main things I would say is that by the amount of information out there and ask questions. Because when someone tells you something, a lot of times people, like your wealth advisors saying something, and it's not making sense to you, but you don't want to ask because you don't want to appear to be dumb, or you don't want to appear that I don't know. But quite frankly, you don't know. So you might as well ask or read up on it. I think that's the first step there.
Okay, okay. And would you like, what would be your advice to anybody who wants to, just start a company like yours, or a company which helps somebody learn something? What would be your advice to them?
Um, you mean like in terms of what skills they should have?
Yeah, yeah.
I would say that the top things that they would need, or my advice to them would be, firstly, ambition, right? If you don't have ambition, if you don't really want to do something, it's not going to happen, because it is tough, it's not easy, and it's so easy to give up when it starts getting tough, right? Most entrepreneurs, why are they still around? Because they persisted, right? You have to have that
Mhm.
ambitious nature. You want to want to succeed. There's no other option but success. So having ambition for any youngsters who want to be entrepreneurs is key. In my kind of field and in my kind of role, if you want to be an educator, or you would like to be someone who does some services, I would say another very big quality you must have is the ability to listen. Most
Mm,
entrepreneurs are so busy just talking about themselves, or just, going on with it, pushing forward, that a lot of times they don't take a step back and just listen to what your customer is saying, listen to the feedback you're getting, even listen to your team, right? You have to have a team around you that advises you. So listen to your team, learn to communicate. Communication is not a one way street, it's a two-way street. You have to communicate to your team that you're helpful, that you're interested in other people. So not only showing it, but actually being there and listening, I think is a very very important skill. And the third and the most important is time management. I see a lot of young
mm,
entrepreneurs today, and they'll tell you, okay, let's have a call at 10 o'clock, and then they're not there even till 11. Or, a lot of entrepreneurs try to do too much. They overschedule their day, or they pack their day, and they aren't able to achieve anything in completion. Everything is like half done, because they
mm,
haven't
mm.
done time management properly. They've tried to overpack themselves or do too much. I would say that is something, maybe, they should be wary of, or not do.
Okay, okay, great. So yeah, I think we just covered wonderful things, and you know helped us with a lot of advices and your journeys and all. So just before ending, one last question I would like to ask you is, would you like to please leave a message to people listening this, or any kind of message you would like to leave here? You can go ahead and do that now.
I would say that, as any entrepreneur should, build your team, understand your finances, and keep improving your product. That is, I think, the only thing I can tell you from an entrepreneur perspective. From a finance perspective, like I said, whether you like it or not, money is always going to be a part of your life. So the quicker you make friends with it, the better it's going to be for you. So
Yeah,
come join us at the Finance Box.
yeah, so true. Yeah, so true, Minakshi. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for sharing your journey with us. Thank you again. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, Minakshi.